Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Today I'm with a special guest. We are here in Zacatecas, Mexico. I was biking around near the cathedral and ended up running into my first cycling here buddy of the whole trip. This is Arie.
Hey guys.
And Arie is on an epic adventure, all right? For those of you watching my videos know that I'm cycling from my house to Nicaragua. But he is an enormous one. I look like a little baby compared to the one he's been on the road since. How long have you been on the road for?
I've been on the road since November 12, 2019.
Wow, that is epic,
Yes.
man. And where did you start, and what is the route that you got planned?
Okay, so I started in St. John's, Newfoundland, most eastern point in Canada. And because of my start date, that meant I had to bike through a Canadian winter. And so I biked 4,900 kilometers through the 2019-20 Canadian winter.
Wow.
To get me to Kingston, Ontario.
Okay.
And that is where the whole escalation of COVID hit.
That's where you,
Right,
so you were still in Canada when
So
that
I
hit.
was, yes, I was in Kingston, Ontario, first day of spring, 4,900 kilometers, and then COVID hit.
How long did you end up staying there?
60 days.
60 days.
Basically what happened is basically I arrived March 19, and then May 19, Ontario started to lift its travel restrictions, and that was my green light to go. So basically I got back on the road May 19th, and it was very interesting because within like 2 hours I was actually given $20 by a stranger.
Oh, wow.
So I thought, okay, so that's a validation.
Yeah.
And then like half an hour later, I had a follower, because I posted I'm back on the road. I had a follower reach out and say, I only live like a day and a half away on your bike, you know, on your route. So there's a place you can stay, shower, whatever, laundry, whatever you need to do. So that was like validation number 2.
Wow. And the whole trek through Canada, how many miles did you do total?
Well, see, we do kilometers.
Oh, kilometers.
So basically, I ended up in Victoria, British Columbia, October 15th, I believe. I always get, it's 15th or the 17th. I always get it mixed up. Anyways, 12,340 kilometers across Canada.
That's incredible, man.
And
12,000 kilometers. Damn.
Yeah, and then so
And
basically
through the winter too.
Well, yeah, that was including the 4,900 in the winter. And then, so then October 25th, I flew from Vancouver to Seattle, because that was my only way into the U.S. And so basically from there, I went around the Washington Peninsula, down the Pacific coast, through Oregon, and through California to LA. And then LA is when I went east. LA, I went to Death Valley, and then I went to Las Vegas. And when I arrived in Las Vegas, I decided to take another 60 days off, simply because I was headed to Utah, and Utah would be in the middle of winter still, February and March. Yeah. Also, I wanted the COVID thing to kind of play itself out a little bit more before I got to Mexico, because I didn't want COVID to ruin my Mexican experience.
So this is 2020, then mid-2020?
Yes. Yeah, well, it would have been, I got into Las Vegas at the end of January. And then so basically, I stayed 60 days in Las Vegas. So basically got back on the road April 1st. And then that's when I made myself into Utah, and I went through all the national parks up to Moab. And then this also allowed me, that delay allowed me to get my first vaccine shot in Moab. Yeah. And then I came south, and then I went to the Grand Canyon, the North Rim, which most people don't go to. And then I went to the South Rim, and then I went south, and then I was able to get my second shot in Parker, Arizona. And all that, and at the same time, that's when all the heat started to hit. And so basically I made a beeline to Mexicali, which ended up being kind of a mistake because it even got hotter. Man,
even just being in the U.S., how many states was that total that you ended up visiting?
Washington, Oregon, California, Nevada, Utah, Arizona. So 6.
That's epic, man.
Yeah, so I did almost 8,000, just under 8,000 kilometers.
And then did you still have the same setup with the bike and the trolley in the back?
Yeah, I've got the same bike that I've started with.
Oh, okay. So you haven't changed much of your setup since then?
No. I pull a bob trailer.
Yeah, we'll post a picture up here so you guys can see the bob trailer. It's a pretty epic setup there.
And so basically I crossed into Mexico June 9th. And
you came through Mexicali?
Yes, I came through Mexicali, and it took me almost pretty much a month to get from Mexicali to La Paz. And that was through the month of June. And I can honestly say that almost every day I almost died multiple times.
The heat there is incredible, man. It beats the crap out of you.
Oh yeah. Biking a Canadian winter was way easier. I'll do 10 more.
Because you can put layers on, right? Like on the heat, you can't.
No,
can't do anything.
You can't do anything. There's no shade. Your water's been sitting in 115 Fahrenheit, so it tastes like, I'm not even going to say what
It's
it
like,
tastes.
yeah.
It was the worst experience of my life.
How many days did it take you to get down from Mexicali to the Baja?
Basically a month, more or less.
30 days.
Yeah.
I'd say that's still pretty quick, man, for the heat and
Well,
also the weight you're carrying. And stuff.
Yes, my bike and trailer and all my gear, I do carry more gear than most people. My bike, all that is about 165 pounds.
Wow, that's pretty heavy.
But then that depends on the food. Well, that was the interesting thing is stop carrying food in Mexico, but water, I had to carry like 5 liters of water.
Yeah,
which
that happened to me too.
It's very heavy.
I had 4 on the bike and like 1.5 on my back. Like, yeah.
And so then from there, I took the ferry from La Paz to Las Mochas, and took the Copper Canyon train.
Yeah.
To to the main viewing of the Copper Canyon, and then I biked from there to Creel, to Chihuahua, to Torreon.
So mainland Mexico has definitely been the highlight, right? It's been a lot better than Baja then?
Oh, well, yeah, I mean, like, the Baja was, like, that, for me, that's like a lifetime of experience of doing the hardest physical thing I've ever done in my entire life.
On the heat and everything.
So, I mean, I would never ever want to do it again, and it was a miserable experience. But since I survived it, I'm glad I did it, because now I can say I did it.
Yeah.
Kind of deal.
Yeah. So you were doing it in June. Yeah, I was doing it in July.
Wow.
Yeah.
I mean, could even be. I think that's even worse.
Yeah, it was even worse. Yeah, that heat was like. But so you get down to mainland Mexico, and once here, how has it been not knowing Spanish and getting around and everything? Because I know there's a lot of people out there that want to get to cycling and they're concerned about that. You know. So what is your advice on that?
So as far as Spanish goes. So yes, I entered Mexicali. I did the Baja. You'll find lots of English on the Baja because the Baja is 50% American.
Baja California. So.
Yes, it's 50% American, and it's very interesting because whenever I would come to a city or a town, even on the Baja, like La Paz, they said, well, once you leave the Baja, there's no more English.
Yeah, you're in mainland Mexico now.
Yeah, so there's no more English. The interesting thing is basically, for all intent and purposes, every town, every city I reach, I run into more people that speak English.
I see. So you've been able to get by just.
Yeah. I mean, the way I kind of and actually the reality is getting through a Spanish country is really not that difficult because, for example, like if you're in a restaurant and you want to know how much something costs or how much you owe, you just the universal language is this, and then they know to take their calculator or their phone and type in how many pesos. Okay, I know how many. You know what I mean? If you walk into a hotel and you want to know how much, you just do this, and they understand. They write down 400 pesos for the night, kind of deal.
So you get around then.
Yeah. The only time you have a problem is when you have a problem.
And you need to express what's going on or how you need help.
Yes.
You know?
If you have a problem, then you have a problem.
So do you now? Technology nowadays is just a lot of more advanced. Do you carry any apps or anything?
Oh yeah. No, of course. Google Translate is also huge because that's the other thing is if you even like. I mean, because you will run into a lot of Mexicans that will not necessarily have a smartphone or Google Translate kind of deal. So, you know, there are many occasions where I've actually typed my message and I show them my phone. This is what I'm trying to figure out or whatever. But it's also at the same time, it's amazing how many people do have Google Translate. Well, they have smartphones, and so like right now, my current host, she speaks virtually no English. She understands a little bit, but basically speaks virtually no English. So basically, and this has happened many times, is basically it's whether it's my host or whoever, it's the two of us just typing in messages, showing the phone, and then they show me their phone with the answer, and it's back and forth. And so there's almost no words spoken. It's just showing the phone back and forth, and then it's like okay, gracias, okay.
So as long as you have the will, I think that you can make it through, right?
Oh yeah.
And then now Mexico is a big topic, right? In terms of like crossing over, a lot of people are just like concerned for their safety. And and what's been your experience, and what's your advice for anyone that's willing to do this and it's their first time out there?
Oh, absolutely. Okay, so I crossed June 9, and we are getting close to we're past September.
Yeah, we're in September, like September.
So July, August. So I've been 3 months
in Mexico.
3 months. I have never been concerned for so much as a second. Not a single second in the 3 months have I been concerned about my safety once.
And not even before crossing the border and getting in, you weren't worried or anything?
Well, my assumption was that, okay, if there's going to be a dangerous part of Mexico, it's going to be at the border, because they always talk about the drugs crossing back and forth.
That's a good
so when
point,
I crossed into Mexico, so when I crossed Mexico, and I didn't even know, because technically, as far as my research online, the Mexican border was closed. I didn't even know if they were even going to let me in. I had no
So you're
idea.
really uncertain.
I had never biked, because in the U.S. I flew. I've never biked across a border in my life. And Mexico was going to be my first one. Supposedly the border cities are the most dangerous. So now I'm about to enter one of the most dangerous cities in my mind, and it's like, and I don't know any Spanish. So like, holy smokes, right?
Your first border, and you go through that.
So anyways, I crossed without so much as they didn't look at my bags. They didn't ask me about COVID
just let you
vax.
right in.
They basically just said it. I just said, I'm a Canadian on my way to Argentina. And they just, okay, go here, get this stamp, sign here, whatever, and gone.
Wow. And then since then you haven't had any concerns with safety, and it's been all good.
And Mexicali, there was nothing in Mexicali that concerned me for a second. I was actually just a few days ago in Fresnillo, which is considered, quote unquote, the most dangerous city in Mexico. I never once for a second was concerned for my safety. Now, that being said, I think as part of a disclosure, it should be said, like, that doesn't mean be stupid or foolish. You know what I mean?
Exercise precaution. Right?
Just common sense.
Common
sense. As far as an actual, like, a concern for your, like I said, 3 months, not even 1 second. And I mean, I've been kind of everywhere. Like, I don't know where I'm going. And so when I come to a city, like, basically when I come to a city, what I try to do is visit all the different cathedrals. And all I can do is go on my phone, Google Map, and go, okay, this is my location, this is where the next cathedral is. And I just do my best to follow it. Usually I get lost because I see something down this way, or I see, so I actually go all over the entire, roaming, I have no idea if I'm going through the bad part of town or the good part.
Wow, man, that's pretty epic.
So
and you know, to everyone out there, it just goes to show that as long as you get out there and you're smart, use common sense, definitely Mexico is worth checking out. It's beautiful out here. Talk about the people a little bit, and how have you been received on that?
Okay, well, talk about a little bit.
You can write a book on that.
I can literally write a book just on Mexico. And in part, what it is if you're a potential future cyclist, what you might want to do is try to get connected with the mountain bike groups in a city.
That's a good tip,
because that is a massive, huge network where
here in Mexico too, right?
No, just like period, Mexico period. Like, I have been, like, we're about 300 to 350 kilometers south of Durango. Okay, in that span of period of distance, I have maybe biked 60 kilometers by myself, because I am actually escorted, not like escorted in a bad way, but I am literally I have cyclists that from the mountain bike groups.
You have riding partners that ride out with you.
They've biked over 90 kilometers with me.
Wow, that is epic. So every time you go to a city, you leave with these mountain bikers.
Just about, and it's nothing. It's not for my particular situation. It's been nothing that I've done. It just, what happened one time when I was coming into Durango, someone from a mountain bike group pulled me over the side of the road, and it just became this domino snowball effect where I was introduced to the group, and there was like 30 people waiting to meet me, and then like the next day when I left Durango, they biked out with me, and then to the next group, to the next group, to the next group. But I have received so many free meals. I have received so many, like, I'm actually at my 14th or 15th host in Mexico.
That is freaking epic, man.
And I've only two of those did I actually reach out to. So basically, like 12 or 13 hosts were complete strangers, and it was just people from one city calling their friend in the next city. And then by the time I arrived there, I have another host, and it's been this most, I've had the mayors of cities put me in hotels. I've met the fire chiefs. I've met the Ministry of Tourisms of cities.
Wow, incredible.
And all I do is show up at the city, and I don't know any. Obviously, I don't know anybody here or whatever. Wherever I go, it's just the most randomness interactions.
You and I were talking. It's just that how epic Mexico is with people that we don't even know if, like, going into next countries, it's gonna be like gonna be like this. You know, like the people here are wonderful. They offer up their help, and
I would say when it comes to Mexicans, it's very interesting, but they're actually, and they'll actually outright say this, is their first priority is, for me, what they tell me is that their first priority is that my experience is good in their country. Yeah. They drop their work, they drop everything, and they do whatever it is that they need to do to make sure that my experience is, and this is not me asking for anything.
Yeah, that's amazing, because I was told, I had a similar experience too, you know, and haven't cycled as much as him, so you can imagine, right? Yeah. So, now you have a blog, right?
Yeah.
It's, what is it called again?
So everything basically, as far as my social media, is more or less under Safari Arie, and that's Safari just the way it's spelt, and then Arie is A-R-I-E. So the website is safariarie.ca. Facebook is Safari Arie on a bike, which I'm very active on.
Well, we'll put them on the video below, so you can check it out.
YouTube is Safari Arie. Instagram is the original Safari Arie. So basically everything is more or less under Safari Arie.
So I was in your blog last night, right? And I was reading, I saw a quote that you posted on there, because what you're doing is a big dream that you're trying to accomplish here. And it really resonated with me. It says, comfort is a drug. Once you get used to it, it becomes addicting. Give a weak person constant stimulation, good food, cheap entertainment, and they'll throw ambition right out the window. Yes. The comfort zone is where dreams go and die.
Yes.
Is that your model to what you're doing here, like getting out of the comfort zone and tackling such a huge mountain?
Yes, in many ways it is. And now that's not my quote, just by the way. That's I don't know. I forget who
you wrote a article based off of that, right?
Yeah. And I do try to do a little. I'm very prolific when it comes to blogging. I'm like I think I'm like 250 blog posts at an average of 1,000 words. So over 250,000 words written, and over 28,000 photos taken and edited. So I'm very prolific when it comes to my documenting. Wow. But yeah, when it comes to getting out of your comfort zone, because this is, I mean, for the most part, this is a completely get out of your comfort zone experience. The one quote that I'm kind of been quoted a few times, and it sort of aligns the same way, is nothing epic happens on the couch.
That's true.
And so, because some people, they do it, I do get it every once in a while, people they want to know like what's your advice for, you know, like
getting out there, right?
Yeah, and I kind of say, okay, so if you have this goal, like I want to walk 10 miles, well, you've got to walk 1,000 miles. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like for something to change, like something epic. You know, like if you have a goal, I want to walk 1,000 miles. I want to walk San Francisco to LA. Well, no, you want to walk San Francisco to New York City. Because when you say I want to walk from San Francisco to LA, for example, just using that as an example, you're in your head thinking about what it is that you're capable, and you're thinking, okay, I think I can do that. Well, then you're not thinking, but then if I say, well, what about San Francisco to New York? You'll be, oh no, that's too, that would kill me. Okay, now we're getting somewhere.
Yeah, now that's the task at hand, right?
That's what you. San Francisco to LA, no.
Yeah.
San Francisco to New York, that's what you need, because when you go beyond what you're capable of, that's where the change, that's where the transformation happens.
Wow, that's incredible, man.
So
yeah, I enjoyed reading that and looking through all your pictures. You have some very nice pictures on there, and your writing too, man. It's actually really good. So.
Well, no formal education.
Yeah. Yeah. You just picked up the writing, huh?
Yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, I have had people, like, the thing is like I read. I don't have a lot of time to do a lot of reading, but it's like I read other people's stuff and it's like, wow, they are so good. Yeah. And I'm like I'm not even a fraction that good, but it is interesting. I do get compliments on my writing, and so it's like part of me wants to like diminish that, but it's like, well, hold on a second. If people keep saying that I do have this talent, I don't necessarily see it, but maybe there's something there, so it's probably something I should exercise.
Yeah, and definitely keep it going. Right?
Keep it going, yeah. Exactly. So whether or not I'm a good writer or not, I honestly have no idea, but I actually enjoy it. I really enjoyed the documenting part of this ride. Yeah,
that is sweet, man. You're doing a great job on that. So can we get 3 tips for cycling long term here touring?
Okay, well,
3, 4.
okay.
I know it's tough.
Okay.
I know it's tough. There's a lot.
I'm usually the last person to ask because I'm an unqualified person. I am not an athlete. I can barely fix a flat tire. Like I am, you know, sometimes people have a hard time comprehending, wrapping their head around what I'm doing. And for me, probably one, I told the world this is what I'm going to do.
Yeah.
And it's kind of really all I have is my words. So I have to that's part of my motivation. And two, my background, like I am Canadian, born in Canada, but my background is Dutch.
Yeah.
And we're known for our stubbornness. And
I
so
see.
basically I blame my stubbornness on my ability to keep it going. Because beyond that, I am the most uneducated person about anything.
With all the mileage though, with all the mileage you have.
But anyways, when it comes to the cycling aspect, the first thing is, like, above all, anything and everything else, is ride your own ride.
That's a good.
Okay,
that's good advice
there's
right there,
there's nothing more important. It's funny because I'm part of like 40 different Facebook groups, and sometimes the questions that people ask, I'm just shaking my head, like, why do you care what other people think?
Yeah,
you know what I mean. And like I'll post photos of my bike with my trailer and everything, and people are like, the amount of criticism I get for what I carry, you know what I mean? And it's like, what do you care? If I carrying a kitchen sink, what do you care?
Yep.
Like, really,
So
what do you care? If you're not pulling it, what do you care?
It goes back to ride your own ride, right?
Yes, ride your own ride. If you feel you need something that may be a luxury,
that's up to you to bring.
That's up to you. Because the thing is if you want to, like, I bring a laptop. I don't know if you do.
Yeah, I do.
But,
yeah.
Okay. A lot of people would think a laptop is absolutely crazy. So so fine. I leave my laptop behind because the whole world says it's crazy.
Yeah, that
so
wouldn't make sense.
Now I'm on the road.
Yeah.
And I don't have a laptop because I listen to everybody.
So basically, the rule number 1 is just ride your own ride and do what's comfortable with you, right?
Yeah.
Bring what makes you happy, pretty much. Right?
Exactly. If you can carry it and you're willing to pedal it, then bring it, because you always have the option. You always have the option to ship it back.
Yeah, good point on
that.
All right, nice.
So that's probably number 1. Number 2. I suppose it's different for everyone, but you have to figure out how to put your fears behind you. Actually, it's interesting because I've had a lot of people, that's probably one, especially in Canada, was one of the most common questions is like, aren't you afraid of biking in the winter? You're going to die.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Then it was, aren't you afraid of bears? Like, you're going to die. You know, aren't you afraid of COVID? Now you're going to die. You're about to enter the U.S. You're going to die. Aren't you afraid? You're going into Mexico. Aren't you? Like, what about, like,
constant fear that people? Yeah, I've gotten the same too on the journey.
Yes.
Yeah.
Now, I don't want to sound foolish by saying what I'm going to say, but in the grand scheme of things, because it is going to sound kind of like arrogant, but it's like, I really don't have any fears. And the reason I don't have any fears is because I can't afford to have fears.
Then you won't be able to move, right?
Yes, exactly. Doesn't mean I'd be foolish or stupid. I still use common sense.
Yeah.
But was I afraid of winter? No, because why was I not afraid of winter? Because somehow 300 years ago, pioneers were able to cross the country without the gear that we have.
That's
so if they can do that, how is it that I can't bike on a highway between towns?
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Yeah, and with all the gear, right? So,
yes. Aren't you afraid of bears? It's like, well, like, how many people die of bears in a year? You know, like, I mean, you know, aren't you afraid of Mexico? It's like, well, how many people got shot in Chicago last night, and how many bike tours got?
You're right, man. There's dangers everywhere. Right?
Yes. So
you're saying you have to overcome that, overcome your fears to get on the road, and then just know that everything's going to be okay.
Yeah. That's probably the key is know that everything is going to be okay.
Yeah.
Because that's the other thing. It's like bike mechanics. I can barely fix a flat tire.
Yeah.
Okay. Does that mean that I haven't had a bike breakdown? Yes, I've had not many, but I've had a few.
Mm-hmm.
And do you know what's happened every time? There was somebody there.
So somehow it works.
Somehow it works.
Yeah.
And and I'm taken care of.
Wow. So first one's ride your own ride, and you have to overcome fear and have the feeling that everything's gonna be okay.
Because it will be.
Because it will be. And what is your third one? Would you say? I'm putting you on the spot here, man.
Now you are. Now you are. Because I thought my advice was that I thought those two pieces were good for 10
Yeah, actually they are. They're actually very broad, like very big, encompassing a lot of things though.
Yes.
Because
I don't know if I have a third one.
Actually, let me see this. Like, for me, sometimes I lose motivation on the road.
Oh.
Like, you know, like sometimes I because if maybe it's a long straightaway and then I've been on the road for a long time.
Okay.
How do you just find the energy just to keep moving forward?
Oh, okay. Yeah, well, because that's a valid point of
right.
of people, because you can there are like the Baja.
It's brutal, right? And sometimes you're on straightaways.
Oh, you see nothing for like a day.
Yeah.
Even from Chihuahua to coming this way, I mean, there was a lot of areas where it's like, as far as you can see, like there is nothing.
Yeah.
Like for me, like I said, I think I have a Dutch stubbornness that just lets me push through.
Just keep going, right?
I mean, I suppose. Well, I mean, I don't generally listen to a lot of music, but if it's going to be that boring, I suppose I'll put some music on.
I put music on as like a little adrenaline shot, you know?
Yeah,
like,
also do that if it's very hilly.
Yeah.
The music sometimes gets your going up.
The rhythm going and stuff.
So it makes the hills not quite as high. I guess in one sense, you know, music is probably the best, but you also have to be careful and safe, because depending on the highways you're on, whether or not there's a shoulder or not, you've got to be aware of traffic.
You gotta hear that, and that's a good point too.
And
actually,
so music is you know, depends on your situation. You know, in one sense, in all honesty, when it comes to those long stretches, I think each person sort of has to figure out how they're going to figure that out on their own.
This goes back to ride your own ride, right? You should know your.
No, but I don't think it's right. No, I think what it is the thing is I think there's an aspect where, you know, even whether it's discomfort or boredom, I think you have to you have to work your way through those emotions and those feelings, because it's on the other side is where the victory is. That ability, basically, that by going through those long stretches, at the end of that long stretch is you just flex the muscles to be a stronger person. Wow. So I think it's just if you can't figure out how you're going to make it through, well, then that's where you need to figure it out. Like, because basically what you're telling me is there's a lack of perseverance, and as a human being in this world, we need perseverance. So if you don't have the perseverance to pedal 100 kilometers through of nothing, well, then you know what? That's
something you need to overcome, right?
There's a saying, and I think it was Ryan Holiday. The obstacle is the way. So if your obstacle is you don't know how on earth you're going to pedal 100 kilometers through nothingness, well, that just became your goal. Yep. So
okay. Well put, man. Well put.
So I think that's 3. That's it.
Can you give me 5 more? No, I'm just kidding. Well, overall, as of now, how many kilometers total have you pedaled?
I'm 23,500.
Wow, 23,000. That is epic, man. And you know, I want to thank you for taking your time talking to us. And
it's been awesome.
I really wanted to record this video for you guys here, because I know there's a lot of cyclists out there getting into this for the first time. I had a ton of questions on my first time and a lot of worries, you know, but once you get on the road, everything eases and life just works out, you know. So, and here, in my opinion, I have a veteran, so I figured it's super cool we get to share these stories and run into him in the middle of Mexico, you know, when he already started his trip like 2 years ago. So he's done 25,000 kilometers.
No, 23,500. Don't give me more. Don't give me more credit.
Okay, all right. 23,500. Let's get this video to 23,500 likes for every single kilometer. He busted his ass to get over here, right? And let's share the story. I'm gonna link below his YouTube channel. He's actually very good at documenting his page also too, if you guys want to do some reading on gear, motivational stuff, like everything. He has a little bit of everything on
there, actually I do have a little bit of everything.
Well, thank you.
No, thank you.
All right, I'll see you guys in the next video. Thanks for tuning in, guys.